and welcome to the Banter podcast for the first time in quite some time. But we are back. We're better than ever. We've got a new haircut for Brennan, and we've got a new location for Kyle. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Haircut for me.
Tell.
I also have a new haircut.
Corey, your hair's getting a little long now that I see it.
Yeah, I know. It's not looking great. It's a bad time. Yeah. I'll join the haircut gang soon enough.
I have to. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this week we had some exciting things with the NBA kicking off with some World Series starting. So some decent headlines. We're going to ask some questions about them. As always, these guys are going to try to reach agreements rather than just disagreeing all the time. So we're going to try to get to 10 agreements by the end of the show over a 25-minute timeline. Each question, they're going to have 35 seconds to express their own opinion, followed by a minute 30 to reach that compromise for each question. If they don't reach 10 by the end, then we do have a super special speed round that we are going to implement to try to give them those last few points to get them over the edge. So with that being said, are you guys ready to go?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Kyle, are you ready? All right. Where do we want to start today, guys?
Doesn't really matter.
Let's get into it.
Chill.
All right. We'll do that. We're going to start in the NFL starting now. Okay, first question on the board. The Vikings just lost 2 in a row. Now that they have fallen kind of back to earth, where do you think they will end in the regular season standings? What are your predictions for this Minnesota team? Okay, we got 2 kind of different answers. Let's start with Kyle first.
All right, so I say that they're going to go 11-6, and I as much as the media would say otherwise, I do think that this Vikings team is pretty good, but it definitely is going to fall off a little bit. I'm getting kind of the Eagles from last year sort of situation. They start off really well, but they're going to tail off before the end of the season. I think they're going to lose to Chicago twice. That's a hot take for me. I think Chicago is going to be really, really, really good. I think they're going to lose to Seattle. I think they're going to lose to Detroit again. Also, just the division is just so hard, and I think honestly, Detroit to me is a Super Bowl contender. I think they're number 1 in the NFL period right now. So it's going to be a tough division they're going to play.
And Brennan,
hard to say otherwise.
Yeah, I said a borderline playoff team. Like Kyle mentioned, the division is just so tough for them. Detroit, I agree with everything he said. They're the best team in the league right now, hands down. The Packers are still pretty good, and the Chicago Bears have been rolling too. I still think there are a lot of better teams in them outside of the division as well. Philadelphia is a team that I could see beating the Vikings right now. Maybe Dallas if they turn things around, San Francisco if they get healthy. So there are a lot of other teams that are just kind of around the bubble with Minnesota. I think they still are all right the rest of the season, but I think they borderline maybe make it in, maybe barely miss out.
All right, Kyle, let's get him to talk about a specific record maybe. Let's see what you guys can come up with.
Yeah, 11-6. What right now they're 5-2.
Because it was the face mask. Yeah,
even though they maybe should have gotten another chance over that face mask penalty. That was pretty bad. But they still have Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold has been playing serviceable enough for you to get a playoff spot. They don't have to win the Super Bowl, obviously, but he's still been pretty serviceable. I don't see how they lose to because I think the Rams again they've just been so hard.
I mean, you look at the remaining schedule.
Once they got back to the Cup, and once they got
they're
back,
all very, very winnable games. I mean, yeah. The Colts, Jaguars, Titans.
AFC South this year, so the Colts, they're going to play the Colts, they're going to play the Titans, they're going to play Jaguars. Those are 3 easy wins. That's already, 9 wins or 8 wins? And
I would say 10.
Competition. So I think
at
10,
worst.
11 wins. I think 11 wins is at worst. Who else do they lose?
Indianapolis, I'd say, is a toss-up. They're going to beat Jacksonville, going to beat Tennessee. Bears is a toss-up. Cardinals, I'd say, is a toss-up considering how well the offense has been playing, and we really don't know what they're going to look like. Falcons, the same. Bears, all the divisional games, and then Seattle too. I think 11-6 is their ceiling this year. I think it's their ceiling.
Seems like
You think?
I mean, ceiling.
11 and 6 should get you into the playoffs.
They're still going to be a
Brennan's
playoff team.
saying on the outside. I don't know, Brennan. Do you agree that they're definitely a playoff team?
They can be a playoff team. I need to see Sam Darnold. It all ultimately falls down on Sam Darnold. He's shown us so far. I don't know.
You know what?
If it continues with it,
but
I think they can be a playoff team.
I'm the moderator
Sure,
today.
certainly
I
can be.
don't think that's an agreement. I think we've got a little bit of a disagreement on the Vikings right now. So I'm not going to give you guys a point.
No idea.
I'm just saying. I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit of a disagreement.
That's crazy.
So we're going to move on to the NBA. And Brennan, you were kind of hyping up your pick before here, but based off the preseason in the first few games here, let's cast a most improved player prediction.
Hold on.
Okay, Kyle, I see that. Yeah, all right, Brennan, let's go with Kyle first.
Okay.
I said Evan Mobley. Obviously, he's coming off that injury he had. He only played 50 games last year. I think fully healthy. I think he's going to take, honestly, a big step up for this Cavs team right now in a very competitive East. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than they were against the teams like Boston and New York and Milwaukee. He had a game one against Toronto with 25 points, 8 rebounds. A very solid performance in game one. And honestly, I understand that Wemby is the leader for it right now, but he won Rookie of the Year last year. So I don't know how you could improve from being the best rookie last year. But I personally, that won against my guidelines. And
All right. So I made this answer like as soon as the questions kind of came out. And it was after the Utah Jazz only played one game. And I was looking at Walker Kessler, who had a very, very good game against Memphis. 16 points, 14 rebound, double-double, added 5 blocks in there. So he shown in the past his rookie year, he was very effective, had a sophomore slump, as they say. But he, based off of one game, it was still looking well. And then he goes and does not play very well against Golden State. So it kind of affected my answer. Really didn't have a lot of time to change it here, but Walker Kessler, maybe he can turn things around for the final 80 games of the season and go back to what he did against Memphis.
All right, let's see an agreement here, guys.
See. I mean,
look, we all love Walker Kessler here, but I think Evan Mobley is going to be the more level-headed answer here. I think there's only up for him. I think it was kind of a slump season for him last year. And I think the Cavs are going to be maybe not a top 3 seed, but I think 4 or 5, kind of where they were last year. But I think they're going to be a better team all around. Yeah,
probably. I mean, if Corey said based off the preseason in the first games, it's definitely got to be Evan Mobley. I mean, maybe if Walker Kessler still had one game, I would be arguing in favor of him right now, but after that performance against Golden State, you can't really. Evan Mobley's been good. 13 points and 13 rebounds, a nice double-double there against the Wizards yesterday. So, I can get behind Evan Mobley here. Unfortunately, there's not really a point.
You don't want to say Wemby
anymore. Maybe though. Maybe we'll revisit this question later in the year, and I'll stick to he'll be the best. But
all right,
and it'll be the best. Yeah,
Evan Mobley, an already pretty solid player, but that's your first one on the board there. So we're gonna stick around in the NBA now. And obviously, I mean, New York has kind of recovered a little bit since Boston kind of coming down a little bit more to earth. But in game one, the first game of the NBA season, we saw the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. And the gap in between those scores there was massive. It seemed like there was nothing that the Knicks could really do to outplay the Celtics in that situation. So what do you think is the biggest thing for teams to do right if they want to simply outplay the Celtics rather than just relying on the Celtics to do something wrong? Well, Brennan, way to not answer the question. All right, let's see here Kyle first because he answered it the right way.
Third time I'm going first already. All right, so I said just to fight fire with fire, honestly, because I think from 1 to 5 they're easily the best starting lineup in the NBA, and even some of their bench guys. I'm a big fan of Peyton Pritchard for other reasons aside from him being my brother. again, they have guards that can shoot. They literally almost broke the record for most threes in a game in game 1 of the new season. But I went back and did some history. To me, I think how you beat them, and I understand that they had Carl Towns, but like the teams that beat them in 2023 were Minnesota, like Philly, OKC, Milwaukee, Denver. Notable bigs that can stop you on either side of the ball, either through just sheer offense or sheer defense. To me, I think that's kind of a weak spot for them, even though it isn't that weak. So
kind of the same as Kyle's, but I just said you got to hope they have a bad shooting night. I mean, some of the players, like Kyle, you mentioned Peyton Pritchard, he went 1 for 10 in their opening night against the Knicks, and they still put up that many points. So you got to hope for a bad night all around. This Celtics team, they're just far and away the best team in the NBA right now. I don't know how anybody stops them. I think they're pretty heavy favorites to go back-to-back again this year. I mean, you saw the high-powered Pacers offense couldn't even keep up with them in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. That was... I said Eastern Conference Finals from last year.
Howard.
Yeah,
this year it's a different story.
Your number one
this year it's a
offense in the
different
league
story.
last year
I'm sure.
looks
No.
terrible.
Looks bad. But
all right, minute 30. Let's hear it.
But yeah, no. If you were to have to do that, you're gonna have to just keep pounding points away. Hope for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have 5 All-Stars on their starting lineup, like more or less. Like,
I mean, going back to the
backups, like
back to the Pacers, the Pacers point, we saw it in
top to bottom
in-season tournament, as it was called last year. That when Indiana did beat them, that's what they did. They just had to keep knocking down points, hope your shots fall to beat the Celtics team, and they did. But in all honesty, I really don't know how anybody stops them this year. Yeah. Dare I say, could they be Golden State's?
Because they looked
record?
On fire.
Maybe. I don't know. That would be very impressive. All right, so that's going to be your second agreement. And with that being said, we're going to hop over to the other league that's kind of still kicking it off right now, which is the NHL. The NHL, they're cruising through their schedule. They're about 10, 12 games through per team right now. So current division leaders at the time that I wrote this, I don't know what they are right now. Florida, the Rangers, Winnipeg Jets, and the Calgary Flames. So of those 4 teams, who do you think is most impressive for their success, and who do you think success is least sustainable? Okay. All right. Yeah. And
wow. Okay, we had different answers.
Ways too. But let's hear from Brennan first.
All right. So I said the Calgary Flames. I mean, this has by far been the most impressive team to lead their division so far this season, especially in a very competitive division, too, with Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Edmonton, Vancouver, all in there. So props to Las Vegas. I know they had Calgary. I know they had a huge win against the Penguins the other night in a shootout. But unfortunately, with the competitiveness of this division, I really don't see how they can sustain this. Obviously, they're a good team. Obviously, they're going to stay up there. But Vegas, the Kings, Oilers were just in the Stanley Cup. They got to turn things around. I really don't see how being the top of the division is sustainable for the Flames.
All right. And Kyle?
I think honestly, you've explained me with that, but I said Winnipeg for both sides of the ball here because I still have sour feelings after how that last series in the playoffs for them ended, where they won game 1 against Colorado by 1 goal, and then they went on to lose each of the next 4 by at least 3 goals. It's just a sour feeling in my mouth, and they are currently undefeated. They actually did beat the Flames last night, which is very impressive. I think they're 8-0, but this cannot be sustainable. I'm a big fan of the Jets. I have been for as long as I've been a hockey fan, but it's going to be hard for any of the teams. So
maybe we'll split the Canada 2 teams here. Maybe give one to one and one to the other. Let's hear it out in minute 30.
I mean, obviously the 8-0-0 is not sustainable. They're going to lose at some point. I mean, the defense, like we've been saying, we said it all last year on Banter Ball 2 and Hellebuck. I mean, 16 goals allowed in the league this year is crazy. That's the best or the least amount by any team given up so far. And they're third in goals for, too. So this is like a high-powered offense, high-powered defense. I think it's a little bit more sustainable considering you got Hellebuck there, more solid pieces than Calgary. But if you want to get behind Winnipeg just not being on this absurd pace that they are on right now, then...
Sure. I think the most impressive
Yeah.
is right now is the Jets. I think least sustainable is Flames. Are we fine with that? Okay. Because I want to bring up one more point here.
Calgary dropped to third
Jets
in the
aside from the
standings
Flames
too.
last night have not played good.
As
Good
of
competition.
recording
Edmonton
this,
has not been good. They played Chicago. Sure. I'm saying the Jets, though, they played Edmonton, who is not looking good so far.
Mhm.
Chicago, Pittsburgh, San Jose. Like those
right.
are not great teams.
So even with that being said, though, we are impressed by Winnipeg, but we think that we got least sustainable results right now from the Calgary Flames. That's going to be 3 agreements for you guys. Now let's head back to the MLB here. We're in the World Series season, things are going well. So just talking about overall how World Series matchups look and stuff, we have the 2 best division, best 2 league teams here, American League, National League, best team in each. So is this kind of a best case scenario here, or do you want a wild card team or something like that more often, or is there a balance that you can strike between both? Okay, 1 minute. Let's just talk about what we can say.
I think that's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is easily this
is
the most eyes to the TV that you could possibly ask for the MLB. Yankees, Dodgers. If you go up to any random people on the
I'm okay with it. I mean, it's just funny that the 1 year where there was supposed to be like all this parity going into the playoffs, like, oh, the Tigers, they're red hot, they're gonna do it. Watch out for the San Diego Padres. It's just funny how the 1 year we finally aren't expecting a Dodgers-Yankees World Series is the year we get it. But it's good. I mean, I think there's 3 former MVPs playing on the field, 2 star-studded teams. I mean, the Dodgers are 2-0 in the game in the series right now, but Yankees could very well come back because of how talented they are. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I mean, as long as it doesn't get to be like every year. Like every once in a while, it's good to have the 2 best teams because these clearly were throughout the entire year. So it would have been cool.
I think a Subway series
based off of the first
really
2 games of the series, obviously. I mean, it's shaping up to be a good one. So
well, that's going to be 4 agreements for you guys. And while we're in the MLB, you were talking about the Yankees being down. What do we think? Who do we think, or what do we think is the biggest X factor in the World Series this season to finish off this series here?
Do you mean player or like?
Either. Just like either works. I like that you guys took this from different angles here. Let's hear from Kyle first.
Sure. I just think top to bottom, I think what you need to have when pitchers are so depleted after like a month of playoffs is that you have to have just raw offensive capabilities from 1 to 9. And I think that goes to LA. Even honestly with Shohei out, because the Yankees have not been very good offensively. Stanton's been okay. Volpe's been okay, but like Aaron Judge has kind of been on a dry spell right now. Like, and to me, I think obviously you had Freddie Freeman hitting that grand slam right at the end of Game 1. That definitely favors LA right now, and I think that will obviously just be the biggest factor going into this is that just they're able to hit.
I took this from a player's perspective. I said Gleyber Torres. So this dude has flown under the radar for the Yankees the entire postseason run. As of up to the World Series, he was batting .297, a home run, 5 RBIs. He has a hit, and I'm not sure if this is true because I haven't checked his stats for the World Series. But going into the World Series, he had a hit in all but 2 postseason games. He's been good at working deep into the counts. He's been laying off bad pitches. And with a Yankees star-studded lineup, where he's not getting much attention, with Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto, Jazz Chisholm, like it's so deep, and Torres leading off and batting the way he is has been impressive. He's a huge X factor for this Yankees team.
All right, talk it out.
All right, and so Kyle,
I just looked up Torres' stats for the first 2 games here. He has 2 hits and 8 total at bats.
That's not like horrible. I mean,
that's about it.
But like if you're in terms of X factor,
personally,
both of these teams, their strengths are their offenses. So how is that an X factor? Like I feel like if it has to be an X factor, it's got to be the pitching. Then if you want to go for like a total thing, because what pitchers can step up and can shut down the other offense? Because it's like expected. Like that's why I chose Gleyber Torres, because it's expected. Like the superstars on that Yankees team, Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto, they're like expected to produce. They're expected to be the superstars that they are and hit. Whereas Gleyber Torres, he's like a sneaky under the radar player. So the offense is, and I know he hasn't, but I'm trying to.
Say that, but he hasn't done much. I mean,
but Freddie Freeman is a superstar first baseman who's expected to step up in those big moments. It's got, if you're looking for an X factor in terms of like hitting, defense stuff, it's got to be the pitching side of it, because those batters and those lineups, for how star-studded they are, they're expected to go out there and produce 7-8 runs a game.
This is the second time on this
whereas
show
the pitching may be a little bit weaker. What pitchers can step up? What rotation can step up and be that X factor for this team? So if you want to come from that angle, I think it's definitely got to be pitching
in the NBA Finals. So I mean, okay. That's not going to be an agreement. We're going to stick around with 4 agreements.
I don't think you understand what an X factor is.
The NFL trade deadline is approaching. So what's your bold prediction of a trade that will go down? Okay, so let's see what the Lions should target here. Kyle, let's go hear from you first.
We have something. I have something about Detroit. I don't know what you said. Okay.
I think the Lions trade for Zadarius Smith, and right now the Browns are 1-6, and they can't do anything right now. Actually, I think they're winning against Baltimore right now. Last time I checked, but they're not going to win a lot of games right now. And I think it would be best
Brennan,
to move off some guys that are kind of unneeded and maybe a little too expensive. And I think Zadarius Smith is that. And I think the Lions, obviously, they got rid of Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, unfortunately. And if you want to shore up anything, even though I think they're really good without him, obviously defensive ends or defensive line would be the area to do it, and that's obviously what Zadarius Smith brings. And I think even if they get this or not, again.
All right. So I said they should target Von Miller from the Buffalo Bills. Look, I think this would be a win-win for both teams. The Detroit Lions obviously need a pass rusher now that Hutchinson has gone down. And this would be more of like a one-year rental. So, they've been linked to guys like Max Crosby, Myles Garrett maybe. But those guys are going to be expensive, and you're going to have to sign them to long-term deals. Von Miller's contract is not great for this year, but you can get out of it because I think he's a free agent in this year or next year, but you can definitely release him or even have the Bills eat a lot of cap. I think it'd be a good move. The Bills have proven they can win without Von Miller, and it would free up a little bit of money for them. And Detroit gets that veteran experienced pass rusher.
What?
I think it was 22.
When did he sign with the Bills? What year was that? Was that 2021? 22? So he signed a 5-year deal.
Well, no, he signed a 6-year deal, but it was the money. The way the money is worked in that is so like they really don't have to pay him or something, so they can get out of it after like 4 years. So he's not signed to like.
Regardless, I think this still only helps my case. I think Zadarius Smith is maybe a little more effective because you kind of just told us that.
I mean, because
learning to win.
He hasn't been on the field. I mean, you're going to have to adapt to that. But even when he's played, he's been very effective for Buffalo, especially this year. He looked like he's starting to look like 80% of what he was, and an 80% of Von Miller is still a top 15 pass rusher in the league.
But what?
Because
if that's the case, why would they want to move off of him? I think there's
because of the cap. I mean, why did the Bills?
Right.
So why
did the Bills move off of Stephon Diggs? Why did they move off of Jordan Poyer like a high to get younger at the position? Well, let's look up the stats of how Jordan Poyer is doing this season. And Gabe Davis, exactly, which is why they would get rid of Von Miller.
I agree.
It's too much money.
Okay, so we still have 4, or we have 5 now.
But I think that would be more of a release than it would be a trade. I don't know who would really want to go for him. I think
that's right.
Is a lot cheaper.
Since Kyle doesn't know what an X factor is, he only knows big names. He only knows big factors. Let's go to the NBA.
agree,
Let's
that's one
talk
point.
about the MVP award, specifically Nikola Jokic starting off the Nuggets season with a triple-double.
Because he disagreed. He doesn't know what an X
factor is. Played that well as a team against OKC there. Do you think Jokic can win a fourth MVP this year? If not, who are you?
You're an X factor.
Okay, all right. I think this is totally in agreement. So this is a freebie, and your guys are going to have one more after this. So let's just talk this out for a minute.
I think I said the exact same thing. Yeah, I think I said the exact same thing, Kyle.
So I very obviously, unless he decides to decrease in production at all, he usually should.
I in my notes I said voter fatigue. I said it's Nikola Jokic. He can definitely go out there and win a fourth one. And I think I did mention the exact same guys that you did, Kyle. Luka and SGA, both of those players could be, if they have another great season comparable to Jokic, I think they give it to him, or that one of those two, regardless of their stats.
And now we're gonna have one more as you guys shoot.
Both of those two players' years last year in a vacuum would have won
the place where you probably want to be the least, because I don't think
can replicate what he
did
last year.
Jokic
we're gonna talk about the WNBA
for sure win a
so viewership for the WNBA semifinals. They plummeted from 1.1 million in the first round to about 850,000 viewers per game in the semifinals, but that's still up 99% from last year. And then finals viewership is more than doubled last year's total with 1.57 million viewers. So do you think that the WNBA will ever see viewership numbers similar to that of the NHL or even the MLB's current 3 million viewers on average? So, what do you guys think? Do you think it's possible? Okay. All right. I mean, yeah. We'll let Brennan go.
We can probably.
I don't know.
Take our 35 seconds and see where it goes.
Maybe
all right, so I said it will take the same amount of time it takes for Caitlin Clark to make a deep playoff run. I mean, obviously, she is probably the face now of the WNBA for a casual viewer, someone who's never watched it before, obviously. And I know as much as people probably won't like the answer, it probably is the correct one. I mean, we saw the viewership she had in the wild card round. It was up, what was the first round averaging? 1.1 million viewers with Caitlin Clark. So if she continues to do this, I think there's a chance that it surpasses the other leagues here. But it's going to take as long as it does for her to make a deep run.
It's going to take.
Personally, it's not that I don't have any hope. It's that I just don't think it's physically possible. Like, I just think the NHL and the MLB are just too star-laden. Like, I can name.
All right, so
you may not watch the hockey.
Brennan, can you convince him to think it's possible? And if so, Kyle, will you agree that that's on the shoulders of Caitlin Clark specifically?
I think it's definitely did that for the WNBA, but that's just going to take almost an unlimited amount of time, and obviously time is not unlimited. They have a good. I use an analogy here. They have a good deck of cards, although I'm not so sure I trust the person who has the cards right now. Yeah, or if I ever even will.
Do you agree that like Caitlin Clark going a deeper platform will? And yeah.
She's the biggest reason, yes, but I think
and I agree.
Her, I think this draft.
And I agree. And Korey's second WNBA question here. I literally put the answer for the rookie class. So I mean, like honestly, it's I think as long as it takes for her I really don't know because he asked that.
You honestly,
if ever, I think that's the one scenario happens where it could, but I'm kind of on the fence with that about well, maybe we'll see. The MLB is doing a way better job marketing now. Same with the NHL, and of course the NFL and NBA are always going to be there.
So
I don't know, but
let's
the
kind of
WNBA is also doing a better
job.
job.
Do you think that viewership based on Caitlin Clark is going to go down?
Those leagues have room to grow.
Do you think the novelty
both those leagues have room to grow
go down, or do you think
the ceiling is as high as Clark takes them? But I don't know how that's going to be. It's how good are the Fever going to be for years to come? Are they going to win a championship? That's
yeah, they're already.
I think in the regular season it'll go down, but I think once we get to the playoffs and see her in the playoffs, for a deeper run, I think it will definitely go up. Kyle, you want
to? The WNBA is more popular than the MLS right now.
I mean, it's still not on the level of NHL, MLB.
Does MLS even have that?
I think
what's the
MLS.
viewership like on
there?
They
can get up to there.
All right. Well, I mean,
because I was going to say,
actually, no.
If you watch soccer, if you're a soccer fan, you're not watching
an agreement on that. So. Okay, well, that's 5 agreements, and unfortunately, I have 5
on the
round
popularity
questions for you.
tier.
So we've got to go 5 for 5.
A top
Here's what you guys are going to do.
So.
And the second you guys get one wrong, this episode is just going to end. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a stat draft. So I'm going to name the stats of 2 players. I'm not going to tell you their names, but I'm going to tell you 2 stats. And then you're going to have to draft one from each pair. You guys are going to have to pick that collectively, which one you want. And then we're going to determine, based on one of 3 factors, which I'll get to in a second, which player was actually better, and we'll see if you guys drafted the better player. So with that being said, there are 3 measurements that I can determine who is better. And we're going to run with that for all 5 of these questions based on which one you guys want. So do you guys want it to be based on video game overall ratings, the percentage of all-star selections in relation to their seasons played, or do you want their number of championships to be their determining factor? Then I pick which one is better. Okay. All right, then let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start off with an NFL quarterback selection. We've got 2 stats from 2022.
What if they tie for that?
So the first one that we've got here,
so that's
to pick from, 2022 passing yards, 4,547 passing yards in 17 games.
I think the easy one
or
is probably
3,548 passing yards in 13 games. Who do you want?
Okay.
I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds on this question.
All right, so I feel like who missed time in 2022? Wasn't Burrow, was it? No, because that was the year they went.
You think the 4,547
21?
passing
It was
yards
21. Who missed time?
Josh Allen.
Did they win the Super Bowl? Or no, it was 2021. I think it was 2021.
And who is?
I don't know about you.
Something's telling me the first one is Josh Allen, and I don't know why. Just feels like
all right, so which one are you guys taking? Are you taking player 1 or are you taking player 2? If you're saying player 1 is Josh Allen,
I feel like it
pretty
17.
Is Josh Allen in 16 games? I think he played the entire season.
Yeah, but what if
I
it is
when in doubt?
No, because that was the year Burrow beat him. So
17 and out.
You are picking player 1. Okay, player 1 was Kirk Cousins.
I don't know.
Kirk Cousins has
like
4 Pro Bowl selections.
Sounds like it could be him.
Across.
Well, hey, sometimes the best availability
13 years
or
in
best ability is availability.
Okay.
So
Then the other player
Well, we'll go player one.
was Tua Tagovailoa. He's got 1 Pro Bowl selection.
Yes, I saw that.
in 4 seasons here.
Okay.
So you got Kirk Cousins. That's 1 point. Now we're gonna move on to the next one. We're gonna hop in to an NBA player here. So I'm gonna give you career stats for this one. So this should be easier for you guys. But career per game stats. I've got someone who has 7 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game, versus someone with 24 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and 2.5 assists per game. Seems pretty straightforward.
Oh, Lord.
Kyle, this one's easy. So one of them averages 24 points per game for their career, and the other one averages 7. I could be trying to trick you.
Do you like?
Yeah.
Did you put this in the chat? Like, I didn't imagine this in my head. Is that possible?
I'm not going to give you too much time on this one.
I mean, Is he try? He could definitely be trying to trick us. So.
Is it easy, or
Are you trying to? Is the one on the left Rasheed Wallace, and it's like the first one Rasheed Wallace, and then the second one like some halfway decent guy. Like
okay, so we're taking the 24 points
Rasheed
per
Wallace, then like
I think. Do you just go second?
The only way that would have been wrong is if you guys chose to
do what we did the first time. Just take
I'm like a book then.
The second player was Robert Ory. The first was Shaquille O'Neal. So you guys got Shaq.
Yeah.
You are 2 for 2 right now.
Yeah, let's do this other one. I don't think it's Rasheed Wallace. There's no way Rasheed Wallace was averaging 7.
Yeah, but he's got 5 championships.
He didn't score a lot.
All right, we're gonna go into 7 championships. Yeah. Okay. We're going to go into the MLB now. Let's go.
Perfect.
Let's do last season, maybe.
7 points a game.
Let's maybe do last season. So.
It was 5? He was 7. No, he's 7.
Let's break this down here. Sorry, I got to pull this up.
Interesting.
So, in 2024, we have 152 games played, and you've got a batting average. Let's just go to a batting average of .275, and you're going against a player with a .26 batting average in 2024 with 145 games played. These guys are both third basemen.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
usually the lower average tends to, especially in today's game, could be a better player. More home runs, more RBIs, especially since batting average doesn't mean that much.
We've got a batting average
kind of just decreases.
I'd feel
like
more
volume
confident with the lower batting
0.07.
average. In 100, lower one had less games, but
10 seconds.
Had less games though, right?
I hope to God it's not.
Are we taking?
I hope to get the lower one is
batting
not Ke'Bryan
average,
Hayes.
higher batting average.
Because he could have batted around there.
Taking the lower batting average.
None.
So you guys got yourself a pretty decent player. You picked Alex Bregman.
No, I don't think it would be. No, O'Neal Cruz. All right, so I don't think it's.
And
Hayes.
he was going against Manny Machado.
Cruz, yeah.
I think we take the lower one.
And unfortunately, that means that since you guys picked All Stars as the differentiation here, that you guys lost. You guys picked the worst player. As Manny Machado has 6 All-Star 6 All-Star.
That's who I thought it was. I was going to say this.
2012.
It seems
Bregman
like an
has
Alex
2 All-Star
Bregman type
selections
player.
since 2016. So that is going to be a win for Manny Machado.
That's pretty even.
2 All-Star games in 2018 and 2019. And he's a two-time World Series champion. So, despite being a fantasy baseball legend for my winning fantasy baseball team a few years back, Alex Bregman is not the better player. And that's going to be it for the Banter Ball podcast. These two guys just lost. What do you have to say
Bregman's
for yourself?
made 2 All-Stars.
What do you have to say for yourselves? I was clearly a bit rusty today as well. Didn't have a lot of pacing on that, but we had a good time here.
We're rusty.
We'll see what happens. So follow us on LinkedIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Sure
Why did I start with LinkedIn? Instagram, Twitter.
But we'll
Make sure
back
you follow us on
hopefully.
LinkedIn. And that's going to be it for today. Thanks for the Banter Ball podcast.
It'll be all right. Maybe Kyle can.
Let's end
start
this
editing some
episode.
videos,
See you guys.